Welcome to Flip with Lou and Kip. I'm Lou.
I am Kip.
And it's not about showing me the money. It's about what?
Show me the menu.
Show me the menu. And we are here to do just that, Kip. Yeah. Episode 1. I'm going to give you an actual handshake because we made it. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited to go on this journey with you.
Thank you.
Honestly, this is amazing.
I'm honored to be on this journey with you.
I'm so honored. And what we're doing, not only for everyone that's student athletes or students, et cetera, but what we're doing for life skills and transitioning in business and building financial wealth and empowerment, it's amazing. And I couldn't ask for a better partner, man.
Thank you. Right back at you.
Yes.
It feels good to be doing something good when you know it's actually gonna do good.
Right. Right.
Right out from the outset.
And we're really good at that too. We're really good at saying, like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Let's scrap it and figure out something else. And we're really good at that.
I'm blessed to have you as a guide, really, for this and how we can communicate best to people and make certain that we're not preaching. Yes. We're here as a partner.
Yes.
And that's how this whole thing was created.
100%.
Why don't we talk about how this started?
Man, yes. Let's definitely dive into it. And also for you guys at home, this is our new YouTube channel. This is our channel where we're going to be giving you guidance week to week, right? Each episode. So just make sure you guys tune in. We can't build our episodes unless you guys are a part of our community. And we want to make sure that we ask you guys to be a part of that community. So please like, comment, share, subscribe, do all of those things, because I promise you, this is only as good as you. And we can't be doing this without you guys. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. And send in questions.
Yes.
We'd love to be answering questions as we go forward. And we will. You'll see that. We'll do a little flipping the hygiene, we'll call it.
Yep.
Okay. And we'll taking these questions every single day.
Yes,
okay?
Absolutely.
Starting now.
Well, look, Kip, I think, it's about time that we introduce Flip and talk about the inception of it. And you have a really great story. And I remember meeting you when you talked about, obviously, the Harlem Children's Zone. And you talked about, flipping the classroom and why kinesthetic learning was good for, the masses to really take on and absorb information to be able to implement it. And so without me going into too much detail, I want to talk about that piece of Flip, but I also want to talk about the dynamic between you and I, because they see us, right? And the camera sees us, but
we're different.
I want folks to really understand the behind the scenes story. So maybe you can go ahead and start us off for that.
Yeah, love to.
Yes.
Well, you use some choice words there. Some big ones: kinesthetic learning.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. But we'll get into that during the time of this curriculum.
Sure.
Simply put, kinesthetic learning is doing it by hand rather than somebody lecturing and talking to you.
Yes.
And we're not interested in just lecturing and talking. Meeting you and the beginnings of Flip all happened in a single day as a result of my son, Jacob, who's producing Flip with Lou and Kip.
Yep.
And I couldn't be more proud, honestly, to be on this team with you and Jacob and our other associate, Ari Stewart. When one gets a chance in life to work with family, there's really nothing that could compete with that. You 100%. Wake up in the morning thinking and grinding how you can make things better. And very quickly, you and I became family, I think, within a single conversation.
100%.
So here's how this worked. Here's how this went. Just to kind of recap the story. So Jacob graduated from Syracuse University. Syracuse is getting a new football coach, Coach Fran Brown at the time. So we're invited as alum to meet the coach. We show up. It's a beautiful neighborhood in Santa Monica, and we're kind of getting ourselves out of the car. And I look up and I see this guy walking down the street in the middle of the road in Santa Monica. And he's tall and he's dressed perfect. He's got the hat just right. And I turned to Jacob and I said, just look at the way this guy's carrying himself.
I appreciate
how well he's dressed. And there's something going on in the eyes. That's a winner. I don't know who that is or what we'll see him again, but just want to notice. I don't say this often, Jake. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know we were going to the exact same event. So we walk into the event. Jake takes the initiative and goes up and starts talking to you, comes over to me later and says, you're right, Dad. That guy's special. There's something going on there with this guy. His name's Lou Alexander, and you guys should go meet. You should talk.
Wow.
So I walk up to you, and I've done this with casting movies and things over time. You meet 100 people, and they're kind of right. They're famous, whatever. But what comes out isn't as authentic as what I thought I was going to get.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Not the case with you. You went, I'm like, holy cow, I get it. I get it. I get this. This is an athlete converted into an entrepreneur with a sense of balance and maturity and poise and articulation. huge, could be intimidating, completely not.
Right.
You and I belong together
100%.
Between what I'm motivated about in dispersing financial literacy to the world
100%.
and your ability to be accessible and authentic to everybody in any room.
Yes.
I was like, I got it.
Yes.
I got it. I think I know what to do. And you mentioned the kinesthetic and also the Harlem Children's Zone.
Yes, yes.
So the Harlem Children's Zone, if you don't know, is a great book written by an educator named Jeffrey Canada. Jeffrey with a G, Jeffrey Canada.
Yep.
And the whole idea is Mr. Canada promised the New York State that if you give me all the kids as soon as they're conceived in Harlem, I guarantee you 100% of them will go to college.
Wow.
And I will get them employed.
Wow.
And the way it worked was you not only teach, but you provide a conveyor belt of support.
Wow.
So you're teaching and then you're introducing people to the community and you're bringing the community into the lesson plans. And now each one's teaching one.
Yes.
And the community is lifting itself up. And therein lies a big part of the DNA of Flip.
Right.
Was how can we teach communities to teach themselves so we can create generational wealth in communities that have otherwise been ignored for any kind of financial literacy?
Oh my God, I agree. And first off, I don't want to skip over the story because I am truly grateful, to have meeting you and Jake and also us building out our team. When you noticed me walking down that street, right? I was in a stage of life where the transition of my businesses they were hitting a upward trajectory.
Cool.
And I had to figure out, what did I want to do next with the rest of my life where I can really build legacy. And I think sometimes we get, into this mode where making enough money is just enough. Right. And I was in that mode. I was on autopilot. Right. I was making enough money and I was comfortable with life. Yeah. And I always reference this book, right? Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Sure.
I always reference this book and I was good. I was really, really good. Life was good. Right. All the things that I desired, I wanted, I dreamed about.
Yep.
I had it. Right. And I have it, but I wasn't great yet.
Okay.
I wasn't great yet. And someone may look at us on the set and what we're doing in building businesses, and they have this perception about entrepreneurship where you have to be great, right? You have to be great. You must have it all. And it's the complete opposite, right? And when I made that transition, I know I was taking a deeper dive.
How do you mean the complete opposite?
Well, a complete opposite as far as the grind, right?
Okay.
You need to grind. It's going to be some.
And the grind is not great.
The grind is not great. The grind is building you to great,
right.
But the grind is not great, right? The grind is really sleepless nights because now you have payroll. Now you have things that are around you that you have to make sure where the lights have to stay on.
Don't you feel sometimes pressure actually is life, though?
Pressure is life, but
gives you something to push against?
Pressure is life, but I say this, and this is a quote that I stand by, right? When you go through things in life, you build what's called wisdom. And wisdom is the tool of war, right? And what I mean by that is not everything is war. But I mean that if there's opposition that you face, wisdom will give you the discernment to be able to depict if that's a great opportunity for you to go after or being able to construct in a way where it can navigate you towards abundance, right? And whatever that looks like. Now, that's not me, that's biblical, right?
Sure.
That's very, very much so biblical. But I say all that to say that entrepreneurship, you need that certain level of wisdom and discernment because you have to make right decisions and understand, like, who am I around? Who's my team, right? Can I take a step back and learn? Going back to it, it was definitely something where I was making that transition of understanding that I needed my tool belt secured and strapped to ensure that I can really navigate this next step.
That was your mentality when you go into that party?
That was the mentality.
Really?
And it was funny. I was actually not going to go.
You disguised it well.
Yeah.
Because you totally had me fooled.
Yeah.
I was like nothing but Mr. Confidence.
No,
I was literally thinking if we're sending a space shuttle into space, we should send him, you. Yeah. That's who we want Martians to see. That's what we all look like, Lou.
Absolutely.
We're all we're all this smart.
But the same thing though. Same thing, right? It's like someone of my age, they probably, if you would approach me, they probably wouldn't even know how to even give you value back or exchange that value or even say who they were or even have a story or representation of themselves, right?
I agree.
I've been through enough where I've taken some losses. I've had a lot of wins as well, but I had the confidence to tell my story. Yeah. And I think that's where we really hit off. where I did have the confidence knowing who I was, but I didn't have the confidence about what it looked like for me next. I knew it would be successful.
Tell us about your story, how you were raised.
Oh my gosh.
It's just, and then I'll do the same.
Yeah.
And then you're all going to see how it is that, we're all keys on the keyboard here.
Yeah, yeah.
And we figured out how to line up to each other and make some music. So
100%, man. So I was raised, and I always like to say this, until the age of 5, I was raised by 2 parents that sacrificed a lot.
Yeah.
We grew up in Linwood, California, which is a couple of blocks outside of Compton. Okay. And if you're on the borderline of Linwood, and folks that obviously know Linwood, the only thing I split Linwood and Compton is a street named Rosecrans.
Yep.
And so, I grew up in Linwood, and we had a very blended family, but we loved whole. Mm-hmm. Right. My father had kids before marrying my mother, and then my mother and father had kids together. So there was a total of 10 of us.
Whoa.
Say
that again?
A total of 10 of us.
And you had an entire baseball team plus a reserve.
Plus a reserve. We were batting.
2 basketball teams.
Oh my goodness. Listen, and we were putting people on the bench if you weren't up to snuff. I'll tell you that.
So the Alexander family had an influence on Rosecrans.
We had an influence. Yeah. We had an influence. And Linwood knew us, right?
Yeah, I'll bet.
And growing up in that household, it taught me team building early on. Mm. But also, too, my mother being the patriarch, right? And being someone that always stood up with so much grace and so much class in the midst of things that were going on around us that was chaotic. Growing up in the inner city of any environment, any region, there's going to be chaos, right? Yeah, either if that's gangs, either if that's, influence for drugs, either if that's whatever it is, you're going to be influenced, right? But my family was so tight knit, and the foundation my mom built from the spiritual aspect of things kept us all intact.
Well, you mentioned the first 5 years.
Yes.
Why? So you mentioned your mom as the patriarch.
Yes.
What's part of the story?
Yeah. So the first 5 years, I had my mom and dad. Okay. My dad was actually murdered when I was 5 years old, and he was murdered by some mistaken identity. And so that really
like Michael Jordan's dad.
Yeah. So that really changed the dynamic of my family entirely. Wow. He was the rock for sure. And when I say my mom was a patriarch, she was the spiritual guider and setting the foundation. My dad was, I'm going to create the community, just a lot like we talk about community, create conveyor belt of support. My dad didn't know he was doing that, but he was doing that with people in our neighborhood and also the folks that were extensions of us as well.
Yeah.
Losing him to gun violence at 5 years old, and that kind of reshaped everything. Yeah. And so now
now mom steps up.
Yes. Now mom steps up.
And you are the embodiment then really of your mom's entire effort to get a child out of Linwood into college, out into the world.
So what's so funny about that story is this, and my mom, if she's watching this, shout out to you. And I know you're watching this. So I was raised in Linwood until I was 15 years old. Mm-hmm. And one day she came knocking on the door in my bedroom. Now, granted, I'm sharing a bedroom with my little brother at the time. And she comes knocking on the door, right?
10 kids. Yeah, imagine that would happen.
She comes knocking on the door and she says, Lou, pack your bags. We're actually moving. And I look at her and I'm like, wait, what? It's the middle of the school semester. Like, what do you mean? I just finished football season. It's the middle of the school semester. Now, listen, I'm skipping over a lot and I'll keep, peppering in information along the way of my story. But she knocks on my door at 15 years old and she said, we're moving. Okay. And she's like, yeah, the U-Haul's outside. And I'm like, okay, where are we moving?
Wow.
And she said,
short notice.
we're moving to a city named Palmdale, California. Okay. I said, what? What is that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's desert, right? I'm like, you're taking me away from my friends, my community.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I'm having visions right now that this is not the environment for you. And as a mother, that intuition I have to follow. And she did just that. And I hated every second of it. When I tell you, really? I did not want to move at all. I wanted to stay put because that's where
it's your home.
That's what I knew, right?
Yeah.
But looking back at it and also now looking at it now, it was the best decision.
Right.
The best decision for us because now she moved us into an environment where I had exposure to possibility. And it wasn't just gang culture. It wasn't just, drug dealers. It wasn't just all the things that we saw and we were, in urban communities, what your representation of.
Thank God for moms, right?
And thank God for moms, man, because that intuition really saved my life.
Yeah,
truly.
For sure.
Because not only was I an athlete and I was big in stature, but you probably can't tell now because I'm a lot more reserved, but I was someone that I was short fused. And she knew it. She knew it. She said, no, this guy, he doesn't back down. He doesn't back down for someone telling him no, but he also doesn't back down to someone trying to have an interaction with him. And if he doesn't feel respected, he won't back down.
So those same, wow.
Whoa. Yeah.
When you hear my story, you're going to see like, whoa, wow. So those same qualities of never back down, not be afraid, those are also the qualities that put you on a poster and made you an NFL superstar.
100%, man. It did. 100%. And I didn't really want to chase being in the NFL or playing football professionally for anything outside of giving my family hope and opportunity to see that it is actually something you can do, right? And it's a possibility. That's what my core was. And we go back to the why. I think sometimes we throw that buzzword out. Well, my why is I got to wake up every morning and do it for my legacy. No. When you see your mom have $20 for the week to support your siblings, your why changes completely. And now your why is really dedicated towards how do I get my mom and my sisters and brothers out of an environment that I know that's going to keep them back and not slingshotting them forward. And that's what I focused on. I focused on the why of my family. So football was just another vehicle, right? It's just like it was 87. I was running off of 87 gas, right? But I needed to put 93. And football was 93. And I had the vehicle to run for miles, but I just didn't have the gas that was being poured into me to really help me run. And me moving in those environments helped me run. And honestly, it ran off to me getting a scholarship to Syracuse and having an opportunity to have a couple cups of coffee in the NFL and then going on and playing, professional in an arena and things of that nature. And I was the first person in my family to graduate from high school. From high school. Here it is. From high school and from college.
Wow.
And so I changed a whole entire generation of how things were viewed because now they saw that there was possibilities. And this guy just went 3,000 miles away. His first time on an airplane was going 3,000 miles away to college. Now I know that we can do it.
Tell you, one thing I'm hearing, the genius about your mom, is she made you feel like you were worth it.
100%.
We're moving the whole family because you're worth it.
100%.
If I didn't love you, if I didn't see your potential, we'd stay right here and you can go run around the streets with all these other people.
100%.
But you're worth more than that.
100%.
How important? I mean,
it's so important.
So isn't that almost everything in life that you can feel that you're worth it?
Yes.
And a big part of feeling worth it, we agree, is having some financial confidence as well, because 100%. The world is built on financial leverage. 100%. So it's really difficult to go every single day feeling good about yourself when you know that you're being leveraged financially.
100%.
So what we connected on was a drive and a work ethic that is not inherent to the income of your parents. It's something that's either in you or it ain't. Or it ain't.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
And in either household, financial literacy is not discussed.
No.
But in both households, being made to feel that you're worth it is integral. So if you're watching and you're in charge of a household, realizing how important your influence is on the next generation is really critical to you yourself achieving 100%. Your goals. 100%. Having that support from the community that they look up to you, that they need you, is part of what gave your mom the confidence to walk in and say, not only are we doing this, but I have the van outside. I never asked your permission or thoughts on it. This is what's happening. Wake up, boy, and get out, because here's where we're headed.
And yes, 100%. Right? No, 100%. And I think as a young adolescent, what a lot of us have to understand is this, especially athletes, right? And I'm speaking to the athlete community specifically, because one may think that their parents, their sisters, their brothers, their aunts and uncles, they measure their worth off of the monetary gain and potential that individual have. So you have to be able to separate the two. Now, granted, the monetary potential is there because you do have the opportunity with the gift that you have from God. He gave you that gift to go out now and perform and get an exchange of something, right? And that exchange ends up being a monetary exchange. But when you talk about the worth is being able to decipher that there is true, genuine people like my mother that saw my worth well beyond any dollar. Right? Because the dollar didn't mean anything. The dollar was a representation that can be a vehicle to help and give them resources. Right? But you don't need to carry the pressure of thinking that people are saying you're worth it because they want you to go make the dollar. No, they say you're worth it because they want you to be your best self. And I think we need to understand how to compartmentalize or differentiate the two, because we fall on our faces sometimes as athletes where we feel that our worth is tied into the money. Mm-hmm. And yes, money is everything because that's where we start. But it goes back to your point about mindfulness, right? Being mindful that money is a vehicle and it's a tool to operate and upscale your family in other areas and things that you've never been privy to or open to before. That's where you look at worth. So it's drawing a line in the sand and saying, well, I have true supporters right here that looks at me just literally, they call me Lewis, looks at me as Lewis. Just Lewis, not Lou. They look at me as Lewis, that little kid that was throwing the ball with his dad before his dad passed away. I look at Lewis. But now when you look at Lou, now Lou has the opportunity to be a brand, to be his own businessman, to be all these other things, provide financial resources, but that's completely different. Completely different. So we have to, please, if y'all are hearing me and you watching, think about the two. You have to separate the two, because if you don't, you now interwoven everything into one, and now you're carrying the burden of everything, and then you feel like you're stuck. And that's not the case. I promise you, if your family loves you, they love you sincerely.
Wow. Man, there's a lot there for people. I really love the on-ramp you're giving all of us, that we too can. And there, by the grace of God, go I, as 100%. I sit and look at you. And ironically, as I look at you, I see myself, which I know, was obviously on the surface, totally ridiculous.
Let's dive into that.
We're a full generation apart, to be clear. I'm like 30 years older than you are.
He doesn't, by the way, guys, he doesn't look like, and again, you guys can't see, but in studio, if you actually see this guy in person, he talks about my confidence and the decorum I carried and all of these things. If you see Kip, he's probably the most put together person I've ever seen in my life. And it doesn't mean, and I don't care what color you are, what race, that man is the best put together person I've ever seen in my life. So,
well, I just don't think it has anything to do with color. No. And honestly, I was raised believing that everything had to do with the status and money and this sort of a thing, because that was the environment I was in. The differences between us are enormous. I come from a 2-parent household. Parents are still married 65 years.
Wow.
I've been married for close to 30 years.
Wow.
I've been in partnership with my younger brother since he was born, since I was 7 years old. Wow. We started as professional tap dancers and ballet dancers so that we could do it together.
Wow.
We had a nonverbal communication. That meant something to us.
Sure.
That was a dialogue.
Yeah.
So we learned early on to be survivors for each other, what it meant to be loyal was really big. My parents were struggling. They're struggling in their own relationship early on, and they were struggling to make the dollars make sense. Living in Southern California in Newport Beach, which was a place that was growing in affluence from the late 70s through the late 80s. It was going from a really sleepy little town to a town where the world's wealthiest people suddenly wanted to build their mansions in our city.
Wow.
So the financial pressures were enormous on men and women. The women were suddenly getting boob jobs, lip jobs, hair jobs, butt jobs, so they could try to hang on to their guy.
Wow.
And the guy was busy trying to outpace the neighbor. It wasn't about commitment. It was about comparison.
Wow.
And my parents were all about commitment. So in a world of comparison, I came home to commitment. And that's where you and I link up.
And even still, and not to cut you off there, because there's a lot to unpack. And you mentioned 2-parent household, and your mother and father had struggles in their relationship early on.
Yeah, they did, sure.
But you mentioned about commitment, because they could have compared themselves to all of the other, relationships that had it all figured out, right?
That's right.
And to the eye, it looked like they were the perfect family. But they figured out that, no, I don't want to compare. I want to commit to what we have in this household because there's something greater here. And how did you see them practice that commitment?
We were forced into it. We were the only Jewish family in the entire city. I was definitely the only ballet dancer amongst my buddies, and I'm a straight guy. So being straight and a ballet dancer and Jewish was just all too much. That was too different from this otherwise rather homogenized community in Southern California. My dad was different in that he wasn't someone who made money and then partied with it at all. He returned his money into the family. And my mom wanted to be a housewife. She didn't want to be bigger than her own britches. She wanted to be a housewife. And by understanding the roles of the home, it gave me an opportunity to have a foundation where I could return to some place that would stay consistent.
Wow.
And I think that's where we were different.
Wow.
You had to return to an environment that was not consistent. It was constantly changing and uncertain, and a lot of pressures on a day-to-day basis.
Yep.
I did not have day-to-day pressures, but I was put in a situation where at the end of the day, I could turn out similar to you and vice versa, because the responsibility was put on both of us early. Wow. I started working when I was 9 years old.
Wow.
My parents, I said, I want to go on a ski trip. My parents said, that sounds like a great idea. How are you going to do it?
Okay.
And I was like, well, I thought I would just ask you.
Yeah, sure.
And this was like, that's what everybody else is doing. And they're like, you're not going, when's the ski trip? 6 months? You got 6 months to earn how much cost? $1,000? Let me see.
Okay, so
and I was like, oh, I got it. And I started working.
Kip, that's awesome. And I hear this story a lot, right? With especially very high profile individuals that are entrepreneurs and had a mindset. They always go back to it starting at a very early age, right?
Yeah.
And it makes me think about, right? Are you born with the mentality of entrepreneurship, or is it learned? Right.
Environment.
And I say that
genetic versus environment.
Genetic versus environment.
Both, probably.
And I say that because I have a 6-year-old going to be 7-year-old son soon. I couldn't imagine him working. Right. Like when I say working, like, oh, go out and do a paper route. No, dude. In today's climate, bring your ass home. You're not going out with a bike by yourself. It's a different world, right?
It's a different world.
How does one at 9 years old, right? Environment aside, because yes, environment shapes a lot of reality, which I get, but environment aside, how did you know from being that tap dancer, all of that to understanding, oh no, I want to go work. I need money.
At an early age, without recognizing it, I was a very mindful person. Wow. And I really advocate mindfulness practice. And what does mindfulness mean? So it's not a lofty thing. We're talking, can you sit alone quietly for 5 to 15 minutes with your own thoughts?
At a young age, at 9 years old, that's what you've done. Wow.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Because my parents would wake up early and go to work. I was responsible for getting my brother and I to school, after school for getting us fed, for taking care of the homework. So probably very similar to a 10 child household where you're all taking care of each other's. Mom's got to go off and work.
This sounds so
Even
familiar.
though we were a small household, I was doing a lot of the same responsibilities
100%.
that you would do in a larger household.
Wow.
And the result of it is that at an early age, you really listen to your parents when you realize, look, you came into this world alone, you will run this world alone, and you will leave this world alone. And there's a limited amount of time you have. And you have aspirations for yourself. You want to hang out with those kids. You want to go over in here.
Right.
We're proud of you for seeing it that way, for seeing yourself as worthy of going to do that.
Wow.
Now go get it.
Wow.
Now go get it. Because if we give it to you, you're never going to be satisfied. At an early age, understanding that, and frankly, not having a choice, made me automatically mindful, which was, what do I want? Who am I? Well, I'm a person who's not afraid to wake up early in the morning and go to bed late. I'm not afraid of the homework.
Wow.
I say all the time, I love the taste of my own blood. You punch me in the mouth all day long.
Right.
I love that's just breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I love this.
You got a mentality of an athlete.
I have a mentality of a person who grew up with few resources.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though I grew up with a lot of them. So the point we're trying to share is, I think we're trying to share here is that whoever you are, there's no excuse. You can't say, well, my parents spoiled me, they didn't, or my parents had everything, but they didn't pay attention to me, or my parents had nothing, so I didn't have any chances or any opportunities. I'm black, I'm white, I'm tall, I'm short. Honestly, respectfully, in today's world with all the opportunities that are available, I got to say, and this is a real gut check, and if we lose viewers over this, check yourself before you wreck yourself. This is all built inside. It is genetic, it is environmental, and it's your genes and your environment, and it's your choice and your sacrifice. And you're either in it or you're not in it. And this course, this time together that we're going to be spending is really for all of those of you out there who feel you're worth it. Because that's what joined us together. You have two individuals who simply felt they were worth it, and their families gave them enough influence to believe that.
I love that.
And that's it.
I love that. I love that. And thank you for the backstory, because I'm sure that there is a lot of questions around it has to be within, and you have to understand if you're worth it, because someone in theory would say, yeah, that sounds great. And that's all rainbows and balloons, but practicing it is the hard part.
Yeah.
Right.
No rainbows.
And practicing it is the hard part, right? Because we can get on here and leverage these platforms and we can talk about all the things that we've done, but like, we need to also talk about the dark days. because there is dark days in believing in yourself. Every single day, right? There's days that
I go through it every day.
For sure.
I mean, I'm the one who wakes up at 4 or 5 in the morning. Nobody else is there. There's not a parade. Nobody's handing me awards.
100%.
All the awards and things get handed out at the end of the practice.
Yes.
During that time, it's lonely.
Well, that's exactly.
It's all on your own.
And that's the point, right? That's the point. It's that either if you're on a financial journey, either if you're on a journey of being an athlete or entertainer, if you're on a journey of just landing a job, right? What that looks like, there's dark days. So what we're really trying to hone in on both of our stories is that we both kind of experienced dark days. Not kind of, we did.
Yeah.
And those dark days, it's evident for everyone. But one of the things that we have noticed between the two of us is that those dark days built character. And those dark days built a certain level of curiosity of knowing that if I ran into the door right here, okay, this door I can't run into, but let me ask questions about how to get through this lock. What key actually works to open on the other side? What tables are there? And so that's the foundation of understanding that being pivotal in understanding and how to navigate dark days, starting with mindfulness and starting from believing in yourself. It really is the cheat code.
100%. Yeah. I mean, and by using your exact analogy, the mindfulness, the sense of finding little solutions is actually the key to the door. I mean, a door is big.
Yep.
The lock is big.
Yep.
The key is actually small in a real door. So that key can go into that lock and undo that big, huge door. So it's small things that are actually unlocking the big door.
Yep.
And these small things are these life lessons of simply asking yourself, am I worth it? And if I am, well, then show it to yourself, prove it to yourself. Wake up early. How did I do this? And back in the day, 300 years ago, when it was safe to go out as a young person, I woke up at 4 in the morning and I skateboarded from our house. Of course, I can't drive. I skateboarded at about 4 or 5 in the morning to a dock. I loaded fishing bait onto that boat, and the fishermen went out by 6, came back at noon. I reloaded the boat, cleaned and swabbed the boat, cleaned out all the toilets and all the mess on a fishing boat. Did that 3 times a day, 6 a.m., 12, 6 p.m., worked about an 18-hour day, skateboarded back home and made $1 an hour plus tips.
Wow.
And I loved it.
Right.
And I loved it. And I paid for that ski trip. And I bought myself a little boat. And in that little boat, because we lived near the water, I was now able to date. Because all my buddies, all they had, if only, a bicycle.
Woo.
Tough to go anywhere. But I would say, you bike yourself on down to this yacht club, and I'll put you inside of my boat. And we're going to go a little motoring over here. We're going to have a little lunch. We're going to come back. I mean, we're doing a full-fledged thing here. So by age 12, I'm owning this town.
Ooh, now you're hitting the heartstrings now.
Now my parents are actually having a harder time with me because I'm like, you told me I don't need you. You're right.
So now I got myself.
Now I got myself.
Yeah.
And they went, sure, you're on your own. Snip. And that was that. And so off you go. And these are great times.
First off,
I would change this for the world.
First off, time out. You're pulling on heartstrings right now because you had a boat.
Yeah,
right?
It was 8 feet, 8-foot boat.
But it don't matter.
Floating bathtub.
It don't matter if it was a blow up inflatable boat, right? Like the little rescuer boats that they use, to pull out.
Those are nice. I like those.
But it doesn't matter.
Zodiac, yeah.
You're talking to our audience right now where they're like, wow, I had a little, even if it's a small boat and I live by water, to have that small boat, that's like the dream, right? And it's the dream for many different reasons because it's a status symbol.
It's independence.
It's a status symbol. It's like today, right? A lot of the athletes, a lot of people in general, right? It's like I'm gonna flex my watch or my chain or these type of things, right?
Sure.
Back then, if I can roll up to a party and say, hey, I'll take you back home with my boat. Get on my boat at 16, 17 years old. Life will be completely different.
How about 10, 11, and 12?
So yeah, that's it. So like that's even life is still completely different. So by you saying that, Kip, is incredible.
Well, this is what leads to the future. So how does a kid who's kind of ostracized by his hometown end up going into Hollywood and succeeding? Nobody in my community was doing that. I grew up in Southern California, but the movie business may as well have been on Mars.
Yes.
Orange County and Los Angeles, very different worlds.
Yes.
But the confidence that was instilled early by waking up and proving to myself that I could do it allowed me to watch the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and say, that's me. I belong with the Hole in the Wall gang. I know they're illegal. I know what they're doing and it's not going to last. But the loyalty between Butch and Sundance, the fact they had each other's back no matter what, that the hole in the wall gang knew exactly where to ride in order to regroup themselves. I get goosebumps saying it. That's the team I belong on. And that had nothing to do with all of the wealth of my community. It had everything to do with who are the other individuals out here who are kind of like ready to ride and die?
So let's get into that. Let's get into that, because you talked about your transition into Hollywood.
Sure.
And you see obviously a lot of the awards on set. Some of these are mine, but a lot of these are Kip's as it pertains to his Emmys and Impact Awards and all of these different awards that he had being in Hollywood over the years. But one may think Hollywood is esoteric, right? They may think it's a far-fetched goal and something that cannot be obtained, right? Because when we think about Hollywood, 100%. When we think about Hollywood generally, the representation of Hollywood, quite frankly, is negative. Right? It's the negativity towards it of, well, everybody in Hollywood, they must be evil. They must be, after someone. Hollywood was
the only way to survive.
It's the only way to survive, right? Hollywood was acquired and built off of bootleggers, right? So, this is a Hollywood story, right? And so all of this ideas and this notion that you create in the world about Hollywood, it's almost as if it's not obtainable, but it's like this dark cloud.
Well, I'll tell you, it's entirely wrong.
Right. It's like a dark cloud over, right? So my question to you is, in your transition, and when it was day one, like I'm showing up day one to mini camp or training camp, when you showed up day one on a Hollywood set, or you pitched an idea for a script, what was that like? And talk about some of maybe the things that are behind the scenes.
Well, it was a disaster for me. But it's not about the cigar chomping, heavy leverage kind of guy who yells and screams. What you're describing also could apply to professional sports.
Oh, for sure.
It's this thing that's like, well, that's never going to happen to me. I'm never going to make a movie and win an Academy Award. I'm never going to be in a professional uniform.
But it is a small percent.
It's a super small percent.
Super small.
And it takes a thing like an athlete, that thing of, do you want to show up early and stay behind after and be the one who really, pushes yourself beyond the limits of everybody else, and to some extent something that's really extreme. Hollywood for me came about because I was inspired to have my own identity away from my father. And while it's wonderful to have a father and a mother in the household, it oftentimes, for one who is ambitious, it becomes something you push against, not something you pull towards you. And so for me, I needed liberty. The Elton John song, Rocket Man, I'm not the man they think I am at home. No, no, no. I'd sing that song all the time and still do. They do not know me. You do not understand the depth of my ambition and the sense of stories that I have to tell. My brother was attracted to this, and it was a sort of a youthful romantic kind of a thing. So for me, showing up on day one has never really ended. Every day is day one. Every day is day one. The initial day one, to answer your question, kind of straight to the point and kind of tell a fun story. I showed up on the first set with a briefcase that had nothing in it but a banana, because I didn't know what else to pack in it. But I figured you're supposed to have a briefcase, because like every TV show I saw where someone was going to the office, they had a briefcase. I'm like, I guess that's what you got to do. And I had a suit on. That is the opposite of how you're supposed to show up on a movie set. God. So they looked at me, they laughed. They said, all right, we appreciate your innocence. Go home, put on some tennis shoes and the rattiest clothes you have, because we're going to work your ass. And you're going to be so tired and sweaty by the time day one's done. You may never come back.
Wow.
Well, all they had, that again, punched me in the mouth. I like the taste of my own blood. Wow. So that first day was a bitch. They worked me, they humiliated me and everything. And I just loved it.
Wow.
Just like, bring this on.
Wow.
The fact you're even paying attention to me in all of this.
So that was.
And I learned to watch, where are they vulnerable? And I still do that now every day. In every office, in every situation, I'm like, sure, this is functioning to some extent, but where is it most vulnerable? And what is the task that nobody else wants to do?
Right.
I'm going to go be an expert in that. Wow. That's how I ended up here. I'm a registered investment advisor. I've passed the Series 65 exam, which is a really difficult, challenging securities exam.
Right. Yes, very much.
Because I want to be here. And it takes a certain kind of tenacity and a reverse engineering of one's life, of saying, I want to be separate from my father's identity. I want to be trusted with people's money and money advice.
Gotcha.
I want to have an identity for myself. And people go, that's Kip Conwayser. That's a Kip Conwayser type of movie. It's a purpose-driven film. It helps move a community. If you can find within you the few minutes every day to be mindful and ask yourself, who am I? What do I really want? And if I got it all, what's my intention? By asking that question repeatedly over and over again, one finds answers that leads a person to those goals.
Wow,
it's not any harder than that.
You are the Dos Equis,
but it is
man.
consistent.
You are the Dos Equis man. You are the most interesting man in the world. You are the Dos Equis man, right? You are the guy.
I think I'm just everybody else.
No. Look, and again, you can be humble and you can give yourself the humility, which I love because that's just who you are. But I'm here to big you up. Right? I'm here to big you up, and I'm here to big you up for a multitude of reasons. It's because there is not a lot of people in life that's had a cat-like life, right? You've had multiple lives, right? You've done so many different things from the 6 decades you've lived, right? You've done so many different things. And I don't want to be a person that is not mindful of that and also not celebrating that, because how often is it that folks can get in front of people that've done everything that you've done from a cinematic in a movie producing perspective, but also transition and say, you know what, now I want to go into this thing that's financial literacy, or being a registered, advisor, and doing all of these different things, taking a Series 65, which is a brutal test, right? Like, you have to dedicate so many hours to taking it. And so for you to do that with all of the success, it rings true to where your foundation was built, which was, if I get punched in the mouth and I'm bleeding, I'm going to taste my own blood and say, you know what? Cool. And not to get descriptive and gory in that way. It's just more so to bring
very real,
to bring realness to the fact that you've lived all of these lives, but like, wow, you've done a lot to do that. And man, I can just
thank you, Lou. Thank you. That's really nice of you to say, especially in a public way like this. Thank you so much.
So yeah,
but I have to say, it's not about being powerful. It's the opposite. We're humankind.
Yeah.
We're not human doings. We're human beings. Yeah. And kindness is at the core of everything that I appreciate the flattery of what you're saying.
Sure, yeah.
But it's all been, I've learned how to be kind to a community and not burn bridges, and to show up, to do the work and not complain about it, but embrace it. And to do that, you have to want what it is you're chasing after. So that's really what we're saying here, ultimately.
Gosh, man.
But to not be afraid of the work. I mean, it's going to be work. Work is play, work is work, work is sitting. Choose your work.
Yes.
You're not getting around this.
Well, so
choose it.
So I'll give a funny story. So you talk about choosing your work. So one may ask, well, Lou, what did you do after playing football?
Yeah, I'd like to know.
What happened? Like, what put you on this path of success, right? Towards whatever it was you were seeking.
Well, I know this story now that you're talking about. Tell this. This is great.
And it's the funniest thing. And we talk about this off screen a lot, right? And I'll be quite honest. When I was playing football, I always had a goal and a vision set on Trading Places, the movie with Eddie Murphy.
Oh, cool.
Right? That was like my foundation. Like, that was the movie that I watched where I was like, okay, he's a black man. He's a man. And again, I'm just describing myself, and I'm being able to see some similarities. He's a black man that's going into the stock market, and he doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
He's like, but make a trade on that. Yeah. You do that. And all of a sudden now he's this millionaire, right? So there's 2 movies. There's Trading Places, and there's this movie named Blank Check.
Okay, sure.
Blank Check was like a movie, and I've always wanted to be Mr. McIntosh. If you ever seen Blank Check, I'm dating myself. Mr. McIntosh was a fictitious character that he created so he can collect the royalties of the check. So I say all this to say that those mentalities of what I had after playing in the NFL, right? But I knew that it was going to be a brutal truth to all of that, because it wasn't that easy. And I'll say this, right? Once I got out of playing, again, my couple of cups of coffee, and I went over to Arena, I was done. When I got cut from Arena, I said, I'm done. There's no more. I'm not moving back home. My mom, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I'm not going back home. Where do I want to go? And I don't know what discipline, or I don't know what industry, but like, where do I want to go?
Yeah.
And so,
who am I?
So on my way to Boston.
If I'm not a football player now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was on my way to Boston, Massachusetts, which I always say Boston taught me my hustle, taught me my grind. It was hustle and bustle. They taught me my grind. But I say the story whereas I was getting on a plane, and I saw a gentleman sitting in first class, and he was dressed to the nines from head to toe, his socks, his watch, His shirt had his initials on it. It was everything that you would picture wealth, right? And I saw every single detail. It was like literally I had a forensic eye to everything this man had on. I just seen money signs. And I was like, that's Mr. McIntosh.
Yeah.
Right? But to my eyes, right, I'm looking and I'm like, wow, this guy has a certain level of wealth that I am trying to acquire. What is it? So I walked up and he see me at the time, I'm 320. And I'm already buying 2 seats because I'm the size of 2 seats, right? Wow. So I'm walking through the aisle and I see the guy. I sit next to him, right? I'm bumping him. I sit next to him. And I was just looking over to the side and next row of them. And I'm like, okay, once this flight takes off, I'm going to ask him a question. And he doesn't know that he's going to change my life. He don't know it yet, but he's going to know after I asked him this question. So it wasn't anything that was crazy or that was profound that the Harvard education basically put into me to ask, right? It was literally me being one thing, authentic and a little vulnerable and vulnerable and truthful about where I was. And so I went to the plane and we take off and now we're at cruising altitude. And I looked over and I said, hey, you have all these nice clothes on, nice watch, everything. What is it that you do? What is it? Yeah. And he was like, well, what do you mean? I do a lot of things. And I said, what helped you get to a certain level of wealth where you can sit in first class and I can tell that you're used to it? He said, well, that's a great question. And a lot of people, they'll see me and they will never ask that question. I have a suit on, you have a sweatsuit on. But he said, one thing that we are similar, and we're very similar in, is that we're curious. And that at the end of the day, if you want to change roles and be in this seat, just ask me the question you asked.
Just ask.
And I got off that plane and I was hyped, excited. He gave me his business card. Cool. We've transferred 3 days later. I go into his office and now I'm sitting down at his office. And he said, well, I'm in private equity. I scale businesses. I buy businesses. I do creative financing for businesses, which a lot of the things I'm talking about in the vernacular I'm using, we'll talk about in the curriculum.
Yeah.
But I do
you're going to learn all this.
You're going to learn all of this. But I do all of these things. And this is what helped me build wealth. Wealth doesn't just start with just buying one thing. Wealth starts with buying a myriad of things. And so I know the different bags I need to pull from. But he said, you need to learn one thing. I said, what? The art of selling. And I was like, okay, what is selling? I'm thinking of a car salesman. I'm selling this 2012 Toyota Camry. I don't want to be that guy. What is selling? He's like, no, sell yourself. What value do you give? And so
sell yourself.
Sell yourself.
Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself.
We're hearing a theme over and over
again. What value do you give? And so he put me out into the field, literally the field. And it wasn't the football field. He put me out into a neighborhood. And he said, you're going to work for this roof and windows company that I invested in. And I went out and I sold roof and windows in the brutal winter of Boston, Massachusetts. Now, you guys can't see me, but I'm 6'4" and at the time 320. So you imagine me where it's dusk and I'm knocking on a door in Boston, Massachusetts. No one looks like me in those cities. Let's just be honest about that. And if you see me knocking at the door, I'm not answering the door for me. I'm just going to be honest. So at the end of the day, you knock on my door, hey, the dog is Cujo or whoever is in the dog. He's going to come out and he's going to say, look, who are you at my door? But I'm knocking on my door. I'm knocking on the door. First knock, no one answered. Second knock, no one answered. But I had this one lady that answered the door and she was the nicest lady in the world.
Good for her.
And I knocked on that door and I said, ma'am, listen. I've knocked on 3 doors thus far. You're the first one to open the door. Ma'am, I'm here because I am with a home remodeling company and I saw your roof at the top where it had architectural shingles. I saw that there was a little rot there. And also too, I saw your windows there and it seemed like there's a little drift there. There's a single pane of glass. What we have is a double argon split gas window that now we're able to give you an opportunity where you don't have that drift. And also too, we can protect you from rotting. Would you like a free estimate?
It's super sexy when you talk rotting windows, by the way.
So that was my pitch. That was the pitch, right? And that pitch was the first pitch of many. And that's how I started into selling who I was and what it was that I've done. And now you remove the product and you place yourself there. Now I'm selling myself because I'm following a foundation and a scheme of cadence to understand how to articulate my message to someone. And so now that transpired into me working in corporate for the next 7 years before I said, you know what, I want to become an entrepreneur. But in corporate, I had such highs. I just was on a steady incline. I was going into organizations. I became a manager. I became a VP. I became all these different things.
Wow, that's so
and
cool.
Now all of a sudden you're looking at someone that transitioned, and all of my friends are saying, how did it happen? I said, because I asked a question on that plane of how can I get where you are? And I don't need a handout, but I just need the information. And that's what we talk about building a community. So I just wanted to share that story because a lot of athletes right now are probably very vulnerable, and they're probably transitioning, and they're probably trying to ask themselves, what do I do next? Maybe I want to be a coach. That's what they want you to believe you can do. And they want to create only one lane for you. But just go ask the question into communities that you have no clue about, because those communities are going to open doors for you to understand now that there is a community within a community, and everybody within that community want to pour into your success. You just have to be willing to accept it.
Thank you for sharing your story. So
yes,
I thoroughly like that.
Yes.
And what you're talking about really is showing the menu.
Yes.
This gentleman on the airplane, I mean, I'm so grateful for that airplane ride. Yes. And that gentleman is, let me show you what it means to actually sell yourself. No, wait, stop for a second. To sell yourself. Sell my product, not sell the window pane.
Yes.
The whole time you're talking, that lady's just looking at you going, how'd this gentleman get it? Wow, he sure is nice dressed. Doesn't hear anything about window panes. At the end of it, sure, I'll take some window panes.
And that's what it was.
It was entirely because Lou Alexander was here going, I'm not giving up.
I'm not giving up.
I may not be on that football team anymore, but I am not giving up. In fact, I might just be starting.
I'm just starting. I
have to tell you, if you don't mind, I'd like to tell a story because you brought up the blank check.
Yes.
And Mr. McIntosh.
Yes.
I have a similar story.
Okay.
So you asked, what was the first day like? The true first day for me was, I've just gotten out of Syracuse, just graduated. I haven't started film school yet. This is the very beginning. This is like now in the mid 80s kind of a thing. I need a job. My juggling days were done because everybody else went back to school. And so now I'm just juggling for homeless people. I used to be juggling on the beaches for like big crowds on the beaches, that sort of thing. So I need a job. So I go to the USC job board. There was no internet, no cell phones. None of this existed. It wasn't even a thought in anybody's mind. So you go to this place, and on this board were all these little postcards: babysitter, taxi driver. And then there was a card for assistant to a TV commercial producer. And I think, this is it. This is where I'm obviously going to get a start. TV is small. Commercials are short. This must be where you begin. So I call the number. The gentleman answers the phone and he says, tell me about yourself. And I just graduated from college, and I go into this long-winded story of all these different things I've done, and cheerleading and sports and things. He's like, stop it. Stop. I just want to know, what have you done that's relevant to producing commercials? And I'd say, well, sir, I haven't done anything producing commercials. He's like, you're not the right person for me. All I need is someone, when I ask, what is it you've done and what you want to do, is I've been working in advertising and I really want to be a commercial producer. That's what I'm looking for. And I said, well, that's unfair of you. I just got done being told that the Renaissance man is the future. And I've worked really, and he's like, listen, Renaissance this, clink, down goes the phone. Like, dang, I'm never going to work in this town. I'm never going to make this happen. My parents are right, and they're laughing the whole time. This guy is way out on a limb. We're not giving him any support, just waiting for him to crash. I get a job as a host at a really dinky little like coffee shop. I'm cleaning out the seats underneath the gum and all this crap under there. And there's an Adweek magazine. And I open it up, Adweek, and I'm thumbing through, and I'm like, oh, this is a magazine, clearly a trade periodical for people who are in the ad business. And I see there's an article here about a guy named Brad Brown, and he's leaving a big agency because he wants to be a commercial producer. And I think to myself, if I were Brad Brown, I would have got that job a few days ago, because that's exact. I was like, wait a minute. So I call the guy back again and I say, hi, this is Brad Brown. And I just left this company, and all I want to do, don't even have to ask me. All I want to do is I just want to be a commercial producer. He says, wow, Brad, you sound perfect. Come on in. So he's never met me before. So I come into the office. He's the Hasidic.
The power of the phone, by the way.
Hasidic Jewish guy, right? Yeah, power of the phone.
The power of picking up the phone.
And the power of needing to eat. And
for sure.
Slam that door in my face one more time, MF, and I'm coming back here even stronger. That's what's going on here.
Right.
The sun is setting. It's a Friday. Sabbath is happening for Jewish communities, very Orthodox Jew. I'm interviewing with him and he says, okay, Brad, listen, there's your desk. I need an executive producer to go get me jobs, go get me supermarket gigs, go get me battery gigs. I'm a director. You're the producer. Produce.
Yeah.
He walks out of the office. He hands me this book that's this thick, I swear. Every company that was ever in existence in America is in that book with contacts on how to contact their advertising.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to start with, I call USC. Hey, I'm an executive producer for a TV commercial. What do I do? They're like, I don't know. Click. Oh my gosh. I start on the back of the book. I start cold calling. Well, he's in the other room and he says to his wife, there's a guy out there who I don't know if he's who he says he is. And his wife says, I don't care who's out there. No one wants to work for you. Okay. You're losing.
Wow.
And you've got someone out there who might be winning. So you get back out there and see what he has to do. So for the next 2 weeks, I'm cold calling and I get him a job. I get a Vons, which is a national supermarket chain, a Vons commercial and a Winchell's donut commercial inside of 2 weeks for this guy. Cold calling people. You need to talk to Charles Ashira. I need to set up a meeting. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Now, let me ask you a question. Were you saying you were Brad Brown during these cold calls?
100%. Because my next door neighbor,
that's the question.
I lived in Watts. Yeah. My next door neighbors, I was going to USC.
Wait. Time out. We're not skipping over that. Hold on.
Well, USC is in Watts.
No, I understand it. I understand this, but we have
that's true
viewers that
I was the white boy living in Watts.
Okay, because let's just be clear about that, right? Because I don't want to skip over that.
No,
Watts was next door to Linwood and Compton.
Yeah, 100%. I've never had any trouble integrating in communities.
No,
because I've never been a part of a community. I was the Jew in a Christian town. I was the straight ballet dancer.
Which shows you guys why this is my guy. But anyway, that's a whole other story. Finish. I'm sorry to cut you off there.
No problem. My next door neighbor was named Brad Brown. So at the core of my whole scheme was, so Charles would write me the $75 a week. That's what I got for getting these commercials, $75 a week. He writes out, he opens up this big check. He's an old school dude. Gets a pen, it's got an ink pen, writes out Brad Brown in this lovely cursive, $75, hands me the check. The second time he hands me the check, I said, Charles, I can't do this anymore. I just got to tell you the truth. And I was giving these checks to my neighbor, Brad. And Brad, you go cash them and then I'll give you a little money. I'll buy you dinner. Now I've got $75. I'll figure out how to eat for $75. I said, I just can't do this anymore. I'm not telling the truth. I'm not Brad Brown. And he says, oh, I know that. You're Kip Conweiser. I knew the whole time. He said, there was the same guy who called and gave me a hard time when I was trying to hang up. I realized was the same guy who was calling all of those companies. Wow. And my wife was right. You're so much better at this because you wanted this.
Wow.
So I'm going to make out this check now for $150. I'm giving you a raise. I'm going to make it out to Kip Conweiser. And I want you producing a feature film. And that was the first feature film that I produced.
Oh my God.
Because Charles Ashira said, there by the grace of God goes somebody who wants in this so badly that he will literally sit here and tell me a complete fabrication about who he is, and get someone else to cash those checks and still succeed for $75 a week.
That's amazing.
That's one of the stories of starting.
Man, that's amazing.
And I started all over again this morning. Handful of Academy Awards. I just woke up this morning and start all over again with much of the same kind of attitude.
No, I love that. Kip, I love that because
funny story.
Yeah, it's a funny story.
Whatever it takes, baby.
By any means, we're not telling you guys to fabricate your stories or fabricate who you are as Brad Brown because there's LinkedIn and things like that.
No, you don't need to do that.
No, I'm kidding. No. But what I'm saying is this.
Morally, it was wrong.
What I'm saying is this. The amount of persistence, right? And the amount of knowing that you're not Brad Brown, but I may be in environments, guys, that I don't know what I'm doing, but what you just said and what you just articulated very well and told a story around about stepping into unknown territory and just going.
Just go.
And you will learn along the way.
I couldn't have got any broker.
And you couldn't have got any broker.
I didn't have any money.
But do you understand the life lesson of we're in a community now, we're in a culture now where it's all about how I look to others. And it's going back to the original point of commitment and comparison.
There it is. That's the term. Exactly.
Commitment and comparison. Commit to yourself.
Yeah.
Commit to yourself. And honestly, when you lose the comparison, you won't care if it's going into somewhere.
When you commit to yourself, the world commits back to you.
It commits back to you.
It really
and
does.
It's going to commit back to you even
it
if you're fabricating and saying you're Brad Brown. Because at the end of the day, they're going to know who you are.
The trouble most people are having in life is they're not really comfortable committing to themselves.
Oh my gosh.
And therefore, they're asking the the world to commit to them, but they're not committed to themselves.
Wow, man.
So when you are really fully in on you, the world sees that. And they're like, okay.
Wow.
Chill. Wow. You got it. Here's your check. Chill. Your commitment to yourself is your commitment to your future that others are recognizing. So asking for commitments from other people is looking for outside commitment. And actually you have it the whole time yourself. Dorothy, you're wearing the ruby slippers this entire journey. You want to go home. Why did you take this long journey, Dorothy, walking down the yellow brick road? Stop walking. Ask yourself, who am I? What do I really want? What's my intention? I'm saying all this really confidently because I'm 600 years old. But when I was young and starting off, I didn't have an articulation for it. I just knew that a commitment to myself was a commitment to authenticity.
But sometimes it starts with that feeling. Because when you have that feeling within, it projects and it shows a level of confidence that you do belong here. It has to be
like that.
And it has to be
like what you're pointing. It didn't come from somebody I had no clothes.
No.
I had one spoon, one fork, one knife, one cup, one plate. I had one nice outfit. I had a no dresser. My clothes were on the floor, and I would mix and match shirts and things by putting them out on the floor the day before. I've always been a clothes hound.
No, for sure.
Always loved it. Always thought if I only had $50, I'll buy a $50 nice sweater, not $5, $10 cheap sweaters. And so that is a feeling of that I'm worth it.
No, 100%. 100%. Wow. Wow. Listen.
So let us show you how you're worth it. That's why we're here. We're talking about ourselves.
There's a lot there. Well, listen, I want to transition real quick and I want to transition into why folks are here, right? It's about finances, right? Financial literacy. And honestly, we are introducing our curriculum. We're going to talk about all the things that we have planned for you guys. But however, we want to also give practical stories, right? And not leave this very theoretical opening to, okay, how do I execute? The story sound great or whatever. But I do want us to give one last story. And I also want you to ask me, the same question, right?
Sure.
And this question for me, and this is a personal question, is what did you do when you got into Hollywood and you seen success and you start to see that your life and the dynamics of your life changed, socially, economically, et cetera? What did you do with your first big check? The first big check you got in Hollywood. What did you do with it?
I invested it. I have to say.
Kim, give me some more. What did you do with the first big check? And you don't have to give me the dollar figure.
The first big check. So I upgrade myself with my checks. And I still do that. While I know that a shirt will suffice, a car is just a car, I like things that are nice. They make me feel good about myself. They make me feel that I'm worth it. And they provide markers for my own internal success. So when I first got paid was when I was at 20th Century Fox after graduating from USC with my master's degree. And I was on this movie called Working Girl, which was all about a secretary who's getting abused by her boss. And that was partially based on me and my experiences. And we won the Academy Award for Best Song. And I got a little bonus bump, a little check.
There you go.
And so I started paying for my friends to be able to live with me and around me. So
I love that.
My apartment mates were my buddies. They couldn't always afford the nicer place. I was like, no, we're living at the beach now. Oh, I can't do that. You're going to have to move on your own. I'm like, no, you're coming with me. And that rent's now $3,000 instead of $1,000. But your rent's going to stay the same. We're just living at the beach.
I love it.
And so I started upgrading my lifestyle and my friends' lifestyle. I took my community with me. Because we're all in search of a tribe. And in finding our tribe, we find that community that can keep us going when every day is a challenge and difficulty. So I wasn't willing to move out of my community and move away from my tribe. I wanted to earn enough where if you all weren't ready yet, don't worry, I got you. And when you're all ready, you'll take me. And that's exactly what's happened.
I love it, man.
That's exactly what's happened. What about you?
My goodness.
When your first big check.
Wow.
First made out to Louis Alexander.
Oof, man. Okay.
Louiselle.
Listen. So yes, it was made out to Louiselle, which is the government, Louiselle. So it's a funny story. So my first big check didn't come when I played professional. My first big check came from when I started to get into the corporate world, and we were gauged off of our performance of what we acquire from a client, right? And so we had a certain percentage. So when you're in a sales environment, you have a quota. And that quota, obviously, if you maintain that quota or if you hit that quota or exceed it, you get a bonus. Similar to what you were mentioning, right? And so I was all in the bonus game, right? And I wanted bonuses. And I saw those numbers and I said, no way, those numbers are not real. And I'll never forget, it was my first client. And I was working for a company that digitally integrated blueprints and as-built for architects into a seamless platform for architects to now drill in and figure out, okay, here's where we need to do updates. Here's where the specs are. Platform. It was all efficiency, right? So I was a huge seller of it, right? Huge seller. I was running a team or whatever. So in business development, you have what's called mid-market and enterprise, right? Mid-market is your companies that are at a certain threshold in revenue and employee size.
Interesting.
And then you have enterprise, which is obviously anything greater in that revenue threshold than what I just mentioned in mid-market and revenue and employee size. So I was going after the enterprise guys because I was taught sell to the rich, sell to the folks with money, and then you will obviously match it. And so that's what I was taught. So I was on an on-site, which we drive to these clients, right? I was on an on-site and we drive into the client and I sat there, I gave the presentation, boom. And I was like, wow, this was easy. It's like, there's no way this guy's about to sell. And I put the price in front of him. Price was crazy, 7-figure price, right? And I'm like, there's no way he's going to buy this. He calls me up 3 weeks later. Hey, Lou, send over the contract. We're going to send it through our legal department. We're going to make sure that they look at all of the terms and conditions, and we're going to give you updates. Now, granted, guys, all of the terminology that I'm mentioning, I didn't know what was going on. I was just in it, right? And I'm like, okay, you're talking about commercial use. You're talking about intellectual property. You're talking about the ownership of the information and not reselling it. What does all of this mean?
Yeah, for
right?
Sure. Yeah.
So cut a long story short, now we're there and we're about to literally execute the deal. The guy signs the deal. So I'm looking like, wow, I just signed a 7-figure deal. There's no way I'm going to get paid what that amount is. So the deal goes through, the check hits my direct deposit. Now, it wasn't a physical check back in the day because you're 600 years old, right? I'm kidding. But
thank you for being nice. More like 900.
But I say this, that they gave me the check was direct deposit. Now, granted, I've never seen my account look this, like, I was like, wow.
Yeah, there's zeros.
Like, I thought I was stealing. I was like, oh, I'm stealing right now. And I'm literally looking around me because where I come from, you look around you when you see that big money hit. So I'm looking around me like, who about to jack me? Who's coming to jack me, right? And the first thing that I go out and buy, I always wanted it, was a Dodge Charger.
Okay.
Don't know why. Culturally, everyone wanted it, so I wanted a Dodge Charger.
Is that right? Everyone?
And I don't know why I set my eyes and set my thoughts on just wanting a car, because a car was a representation that you made it.
Right.
Coming up in a culture.
And there's some freedom to it.
And there's some freedom to it. And I wanted a nice car. And at the time, I wasn't driving a nice car, so I wanted a nice car.
Okay.
So I bought a Dodge Charger. But then to your point, is I wanted all the nice things too that came with it. Sure. So I wanted shoes. I wanted clothes.
Right.
I wanted to upgrade my lifestyle.
Can't get in that Charger.
So I moved into a nice apartment, really, really nice apartment, moved into a community that was very, very nice. Right now, the gym membership that was at, again, nothing against 24-hour fitness, but the gym membership that was 24-hour fitness, now it's like, no, I want to go to Equinox. Now I'm going to Equinox. Now I'm going to have accessibility to the rich because I'm a rich guy now, right? Am I a rich guy? Yeah, I'm a rich guy. But then also too, to really be like completely honest, I only had one child at the time, and it was Coda, my son. And I said, you know what? I'm spending money, but what does his future look like? And so that's when I learned about 529s. And we'll talk about all this, but I started to invest in my son. And I start putting the money to a side. And again, this was a big check. So I had enough to spread around and also put into my son. And I started to invest into my son, and I set aside enough to invest into him and, help my mom and things of that nature. And so it was a combination of
we really
me learning.
We did a lot of the same
things, man. Same things.
Even though we really, both of us had no financial education.
None at all.
I started investing too at about that time.
Yep.
And this is really important, honestly, for where we're headed here ultimately with this podcast. Which is the best thing that you had at your advantage was time.
I had time.
You were young. So starting even with $100 investment. it does nothing but go up.
Yep, absolutely.
And we start learning that. We're like, okay, wait, maybe I should hesitate on buying that car, or maybe I can figure out how I can, before I buy it, I'll have enough to buy the car and still have some extra left over to invest in myself.
Yep.
And we're going to show you all of these kinds of techniques on how you can do this so that you don't end up chasing the material without the foundation of being able to sustain it.
100%. And that's why we're here to share those experiences, because there's two prongs to it all, right? There's a side that you can do it well, and then there's a side that you can do it absolutely wrong. And we want you more on the former, right? And so that's just what it is. But real quick, obviously, as we're wrapping up this episode, and this has been amazing, Kip. The first episode we're launching, and it is a out-of-body experience for, I think, the two of us, but I can speak for myself, because we're truly building something that is proprietary to us. Mm-hmm. And as we if you guys looking at us, this is something that we're going to leverage also, that now we can invest in, that we can pour in, that we can do things as well. And we are hoping that you guys do the same thing. Mm-hmm. But we're shifting into a portion that you mentioned at the beginning called flipping your financial hygiene.
Okay.
Right. Sure. And I want to shift into this as we end the segment, because I want to give our viewers a taste of what's to come. Okay. And these are questions that are sent in from our viewers. Great. I want to fill them, and it's rapid fire, right? And we can answer them with a couple of sentences. Very basic questions probably for us, but also for some that's just watching.
I love it.
Just some questions.
Great. So, thank you for sending questions in so quickly.
Yes. Yeah. So real quick, this is the first question. I am watching this platform because I want to learn about budgeting. And so I'm hoping that you guys dive into budgeting in future episodes. But can you just talk to me about what is the definition of budgeting?
Great question. Yes is the answer. We'll get into a lot of detail on budgeting and make it really simple so that you don't feel like your budget is something telling you no all the time, but actually something supporting you, and giving you opportunities to how to say yes. So budgeting is simply being cognizant and mindful and aware of how much you take in and how much goes out, so that you can carry a number in your head of what you need to earn in order to cover your basic expenses. Because when you can cover the basic expenses, ultimately, which we'll talk about with passive income, not income that you get by going out and working, but income where your money is working for you. That's passive income covering your expenses. You are now wealthy. That is wealth. You've made it. You're rich. To your point before, I'm rich now.
Yes.
Because your bills are covered.
Yes.
Passive income's coming. Whether you go to work or not, the stock market or wherever you're invested is earning money for you. So budgeting allows you to know, when am I still struggling? When have I made it? What does make it mean? Without a budget, it's like sailing without a tiller on the boat. It's just going wherever the wind is pushing the sail, is moving around. So it's almost impossible to build financial freedom and confidence without a budget.
Love it. Kip, how do I apply SMART goals with my finances?
Well, Lou, I'm going to throw this right back at you because I want to hear your answers to this. How do we? You answer this one.
Yeah, this is a great one. I think this is a great question. Well, first off, we need to understand what the definition of SMART goals are, right? For those that don't understand what SMART goals, right? So we have to be specific, right? And so when we are specific, right? When we're specific about our goals, what is it that we want? What is it that we're trying to acquire and accumulate, right?
So SMART goal is a conscious goal.
It's a conscious goal, right? So SMART goals, and again, it's a acronym for what I'm about to go into, right? And so specific is number one, right? So the S is for specific.
Okay, cool.
So you have to understand exactly specifically what is my number and what is it that I'm trying to work towards or build, right? You got to be specific. It goes back to being mindful, being mindful about what's my why. Got to be specific, right? So the M now is measurable, right? So now how do I measure? Right. So on a daily basis, going back to your budget conversation,
right.
What am I spending? What is my surplus? What is my deficit? Right. Is everything covered? Right. And do I have enough money in discretionary, which is left over, to now do the things that I want and I desire? So I have to be able to measure that. Right. Number 3 is obtainable. Right. Is it obtainable?
Right. Realistic goals.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Is it
creating a frustration for yourself?
Is it obtainable? Right. And is it also going to allow me to get there in the time that I needed to get there? Which I'll go into the last two,
right. Sounds like time.
Which is R, right? R, which is realistic.
Okay.
Right. Is it realistic? Yeah. Right. Now, am I setting these goals that are blanketed and they're just out in the open and I'm not specific, measurable, right? And I'm not looking at how can I attain them? And now, am I being realistic? Am I truly able, from what I'm doing in my craft, in my job, am I truly able to obtain the things that I set out? Or if I'm not, how do I find out how to change all of the other variances and pull them into making them realistic, right?
Well, I would honestly shift A to be accountable.
Yeah.
Well, because
yes, right,
you got to be accountable.
Yes,
but keep going.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
So realistic.
Yes, exactly. And then the T is timeline.
Time, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Right? Timeline. So we have to look at time.
Okay.
Right. And it's going to go into a lot of our curriculum where we talk about time to value.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm not going to dive too much into it. And you guys keep following us. We'll continue to dive into all these concepts. But timeline.
Timeline is huge.
And timeline.
When do I need the money? How much? Why?
When do I need the money? How much? Why?
Right.
And also, is it in a time accordance to the things that I'm doing? Monthly, weekly.
And is that time realistic?
Is that time realistic,
I get it.
So that's how I would break it down at its core, just as a beginning.
Wow, thank you. That's a much better answer than I could have ever given.
Thank you. You're good.
Thank you.
All right, last one.
Thank you. I will want to underscore though the A in that, the accountability that I added.
That's what I meant.
Because you can do the SMART acronyms.
Yes.
You've got this is all a personal thing. No one's going. We're not going to be with you every single second. So ultimately, you're gonna have to hold yourself accountable to wanting to be smart.
Yes. Absolutely. All right.
Okay.
Last thing.
Last question. Got it.
I'm finally earning money.
Congratulations.
About $150,000 a year, which is huge.
That's a lot of money.
Which is huge.
Sure.
Right. But I currently live in New York City.
Oh, not as much. Yeah.
So how does one manage $150,000 living in New York City or a region such as New York?
$150,000 is enough money to be investing in yourself so that your money can start working for you harder than you're working for your money.
Yep.
And if you have a budget and you're making approximately $12,000 a month, kind of a thing, you need to look at some formulas that with which you can feel comfortable in your own lifestyle. There's some you'll find familiar online, 50, 30, 20 kind of thing, where 50% of your money goes to needs, 30% goes to some of your wants, 20% goes to investments, charity, and things along these lines. So if you're making $150,000 a year, you really need to find a way that you can take $25,000 to $40,000 of that a year and put it into you. Take care of you. As the stewardess likes to say, or the airline flight attendant, when the mask is dropping due to lack of air pressure, put the mask on yourself first, then help others. 100%. So before you're paying all your bills, which is paying other people, pay yourself first. Yeah. And to pay yourself first is to responsibly take a portion of your after-tax income and put it into investments. If it's pre-tax income, we have other solutions which we get into in this curriculum. Sure. Roth IRAs, a 401k at your place of business. There are a number of ways in which you can fairly painlessly build up some savings. Sure. So that's my answer. If you're living in an expensive city, it's absolutely essential. If you're living in a less expensive city, in some ways, ironically, it's less essential to do it as quickly because you're earning enough money that the cost of living in that area, you're outperforming that area. Yeah. In New York City, what you're earning is not outperforming the area. The area's inflation is outperforming you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why you've got to invest.
Wow. Well, first off, these are amazing questions. Thank you guys so much. Listen, you guys just keep following us. And as I'm looking at you right now, you are making a decision to now lead your life in the way that you've always envisioned it. And with Flip, that's what our foundation is. It's not just about showing you the money. It's about showing you the menu, but also creating that community around you that can be your cheerleader or that can be someone that tells you you got it, and you can have that mindfulness within to now execute on whatever that journey looks like for you ahead of time. So listen, please like, comment, share, subscribe with your community, because again, this is the turning point of your life, and we want to make sure you guys are with us for it. So it's not about showing you the money. It's about what?
Show us the menu.
And that is a wrap. What Flip with Lou and Kip. See you guys next week.
See you next time. Don't go away.